My name is Josh from Cyclones Oz, and here is your weather forecast for March 2nd, 2024. If you are brand new to the channel, then please do consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video while you're at it. Today we're going to be taking a look at far northern Queensland, where heavy rainfall is forecast in the next 5 to 10 days, where some places could be seeing up to 800 millimetres before a potential tropical low develops. And we're going to move down to southeastern Queensland and northern New South Wales, where there's some thunderstorms forecast tonight and tomorrow night, some of which could be severe, and then across to Western Australia, where we're going to be giving a thunderstorm update on forecast because there are some storms expected around Perth and the wheat belt. Farmers are desperate for the rainfall, and we're going to be getting into great detail with how much is expected. So starting things off with Queensland, where you can see right now a lot of rainfall going to be materialising from next Thursday onwards. That's going to get itself jammed up against the far northern Queensland coastline between areas from Cardwell up to Hope Vale around Cooktown sort of area. There will be places that pick up to 400 millimetres, and there will be places that pick up even more than that, up to 600 or 700 millimetres before you can see a tropical low developing. A strengthening trough, which has the potential to throw out a cyclone, will enhance the already moderate to heavy rainfall occurring across far northern Queensland for the next week, where we could be seeing, as I said, rainfall accumulations up towards half a metre in some places and maybe even more in the right mountainous area. Now let's get a good look in at that picture. We're looking mainly between Hopevale and Townsville right now for the intense rainfall, but anywhere on the Cape York Peninsula is expecting some very heavy rainfall from around Wednesday and so forth. In fact, we're just going to get an idea over the next 5 days. Up to 100 millimetres is still forecast across pretty much all of the Cape York Peninsula. The rainfall does get heavier the further north you get and the further to the coastline you get, but up to 100, maybe 150 millimetres in one or two spots over the next 5 days until Thursday. But it's going to be at Thursday when we start to see an increase in this rainfall. You can already see a tropical low really trying to develop now south of PNG, and that's going to be driving with this monsoon trough a lot of moisture ashore from the Coral Sea. And considering that the Coral Sea has seen relatively low evaporation levels for the last couple of days, there's going to be a lot of moisture in the air to really increase the amount of rainfall that we're going to be seeing between especially Cardwell and Cooktown, but it's going to be anywhere north of Townsville up to probably the entirety of the Cape York Peninsula. I know I've been saying Townsville to Cooktown, but it will be the majority of the coastal parts of the eastern Cape York Peninsula that receive significant rainfall. Thursday should be seeing up to 20 millimetres for a lot of places, up to 50 millimetres for one or two spots. It's going to be Friday when we start to see that rainfall increase just a little bit more, especially Saturday morning by the looks of things right now. A lot of rainfall expected just offshore from Innisfail, and that will get itself jammed up into the mountains. We could be seeing 150 millimetres fall on Saturday. It's just outside of the Bureau of Meteorology's 7-day forecast right now, so we'll be seeing exactly how much rainfall is expected on Saturday, especially because that's the day that I'm very interested in right now from tonight. So keep up to date with the Bureau of Meteorology forecast for their official forecast tonight. Again, there isn't too much model congruency with this amount of rainfall. Most forecast models are calling for a significant amount of rainfall or some rainfall rather, to come ashore. It's just the axis that has a significant amount of rainfall. But generally speaking, it's unusual for March, or the entirety of the month of March, for places here to receive less than 500 millimetres. March is typically the wettest month of the year, and it's just a matter of time until we see one of these rain bands come ashore. And considering we've got the setup for it, I would doubt that this isn't going to materialise in some way. At least 200 millimetres over the next 10 days. Again, considering it is still about a week away, there is still a degree of uncertainty with this forecast, but I am pretty confident in saying a lot of rainfall can be expected between Cardwell and Cooktown, and we're talking widespread 400 millimetres plus, with isolated pockets in excess of 500, 600 or 700 millimetres. This setup does look pretty favourable for rainfall. By Sunday, it looks like the rainfall's just shifting a little bit further north, and then by Sunday evening, it's outside north of Cairns and up towards the Daintree, and this is when we start to see this tropical low developing. It's just towards the east of Lockhart River at this point. It's a developing tropical low, definitely not a cyclone at this point here. It doesn't have cyclone winds at all, but it looks like it's going to give it its best shot in becoming a tropical cyclone in the Coral Sea, and it'll be a little bit closer to doing so by next Monday. Now, the reason why I've included this in the forecast, considering it's just a tropical low 10 days out, is the Axis G3 has actually been remarkably reliable in terms of tropical low forecasts, in terms of their whereabouts and their happenings beyond the 10-day forecast period this cyclone season. So I reckon that this forecast will actually happen, or will actually reciprocate in at least some degree with a tropical low developing in either the Gulf of Carpentaria or in the Solomon Sea or in the Coral Sea. I do reckon it will happen. The reason why I don't trust the XSG fully is because it's been terrible for cyclone forecasts. When these storms get up to tropical low status and they're 2 or 3 days away from a landfall, then the Access model has been trash. So I wouldn't be using it for a cyclone forecast, but for a tropical low forecast in terms of whereabouts and whenabouts, it's actually not a bad forecast model to be using. It's been very reliable this cyclone season. I mean, it's only had 3 cyclones to forecast, but it has nailed all of them on the head from 10 days out until they actually became a tropical cyclone, and then it screwed it up completely. The Access also, interestingly, has a couple of other cyclone features, which I'll touch on for the next 30 seconds. You can see a cyclone over Western Australia, and there's also a stronger system that's east of the Cocos-Keeling Islands that the Bureau of Meteorology have actually been talking about, but I reckon that they should be focusing their time and energy on the Queensland situation and not on a tropical low over in the middle of the Indian Ocean, because again, they're very uncertain on this system as well, but it could happen. And so yeah, a couple of interesting features in terms of cyclones. I mean, if all 3 of them come, then we might get 6 cyclones this cyclone season, so still a very disappointing cyclone season, that's for sure, in terms of numbers, but it's been rather devastating in terms of activity. 2 severe tropical cyclone landfalls. It's been quite a season, that's for sure. Jumping down south, we're going to be talking about central Queensland and on southeastern Queensland and northern New South Wales. There are some thunderstorms expected there tonight. They had a couple of pulse thunderstorms fire there yesterday night, and I've been seeing weather reports in the comment section of just sporadic storm activity, generally speaking, yesterday. We're going to be seeing some stronger storms tonight. 1 or 2 of them might go severe with the risk of damaging winds and heavy rainfall. It's going to be Monday night when we start to see these storms creep up towards Bundaberg and Rockhampton, where we could be seeing some heavier than usual rainfall up there. They've had a very dry, wet season so far. It's been months since they've had some decent rainfall, so hopefully these storms provide that necessary rainfall up there. They're going to be firing along this trough line, which will move into Queensland tomorrow night, and that will help these thunderstorms fire, which could bring some damaging winds and brief spots of heavy nothing rainfall. Too crazy, but still the risk of thunderstorms is there, and if they are going to be severe, then you've got to be heeding all potential warnings and hazards. Just making sure that you get your deck furniture inside. If you see a severe thunderstorm warning, you'll get about half an hour to an hour's worth of warning on these storms. They don't look like they're going to come out of the blue, and they don't look overly strong either. You can see them starting to fire here around Wollongara and the southern parts of Queensland. They really don't make themselves into Queensland properly, but you can see you get further inland, there could be 1 or 2 stronger storms here. Brisbane might miss out completely tonight, but it looks like Sunday night they might see a little bit more storm activity. I'll actually zoom out here and get a better look. But you can see from about midday Sunday, you can see some thunderstorms firing around Charleville in Queensland. That one looks like it might actually be quite strong. And the Access G3 being a convective model, it generally does pretty well with thunderstorms, so I'm pretty happy with this forecast. And then by Monday, it looks like they really start to weaken off, and there might be a couple of strong rainfall bands that move ashore around the Brisbane or the Gold Coast area by Monday morning into early Monday afternoon, before this thunderstorm activity, well, it might be just rain activity at this point, moves further up the coast. And it looks like Tuesday it might impact the Wide Bay, Rockhampton sort of area with a little bit of rainfall there, maybe 10 millimetres, maybe 15 millimetres, still quite hard to tell. But over the next 5 days, be expecting rainfall totals, especially on the Sunshine Coast by the looks of things, up to 80 millimetres. Brisbane itself, maybe 50 millimetres, and northern parts of New South Wales, all of which will fall today and tomorrow, up to 60 or 70 millimetres in some spots. And then across into southern and central Queensland, up to 25 millimetres could be expected, most of which will fall tonight and a little bit tomorrow. But yeah, around Rockhampton and up towards, Bundaberg up towards Rockhampton, expect 25 millimetres or so. It's kind of hard to say in terms of rainfall right now what is actually expected, because there's still a varying amount on the forecasts. But over the next 5 days, there is still the chance of up to 15 to 20 millimetres, which is some decent rainfall. It's nothing crazy, it's nothing to write home about, but 15 to 20 millimetres will be much needed rainfall for this area. And that might extend up towards Mackay. Overall, Queensland just heading into a wet period by the looks of things, with rainfall extending all the way up the coastline. The only places that miss out by the looks of things are central Queensland, which, I mean, is to be expected at this point. Now, going long range from about Tuesday onwards, I'm not seeing anything crazy in terms of storm activity moving through Thursday now and then into Friday. But for Queensland, nothing crazy in terms of storm activity. Might be 1 or 2 rain showers as you get into next weekend. But again, that's way out in the forecast, so a very difficult forecast to make. And it looks like the weather might actually start to warm up in Queensland once again. Could be seeing daytime maximas in Brisbane sort of area by next week approach 30 degrees Celsius, maybe by the end of next week. No, the heat doesn't actually materialise like I thought it would with that sort of setup. So that's some good news there, because I bet all of the Brisbane people are fed up with the heat that they've been having. I mean, the past week it was like 34 with a heat index of 37 or something basically all week. So pretty warm down there, that's for sure. Going over west, we're now looking out for some strong thunderstorms which could be firing around the Perth area, especially into the lower west and the Wheatbelt sort of region. We could be seeing those storms start to materialise from this afternoon and into this evening, so road conditions certainly could be a hazard. We've got a strong trough combined with the ideal conditions for thunderstorms, and it will promote that storm activity where you could be seeing some storms go severe warned. I would be surprised if we get severe thunderstorms in the Perth metro area, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some in the Wheatbelt area, so be watching out for that quite closely. As we zoom right into tonight, I'm using the Access G3 model here because it is a convective model. We're going to be seeing these storms start to fire up from 9 a.m. this morning by the looks of things. There's already some thunderstorms and lightning activity moving south of Perth around Boddington and so forth. That's starting to move through now. These storms look like they're not going to be affecting the Perth area, but certainly locations in the southern Wheatbelt and to the Great Southern will be receiving these strong winds and these strong thunderstorms as well. I mean, this is some very heavy rainfall that's starting to fall here by this evening. And as we get into Sunday, we're going to be seeing this trough really strengthen, and these strong thunderstorms will start to move down the coastline. Now, I'm I've got my eyelid raised at the temperature forecast, because apparently the overnight minimum tonight by 6 a.m. tomorrow is going to be 27 degrees Celsius. So very, very warm for Perth, and that is kind of expected with these thunderstorms. But I do think that the wind and especially some rainfall should take the edge off that heat, hopefully, because I'm fed up with hot nights, that's for sure. If anything, by Sunday morning, looks like we start to get some rainfall move into the Perth metro area, with a low pressure system starting to build itself just offshore here, which would be some great news indeed. By Sunday morning, it looks like these showers are really starting to pick up in intent. But yeah, by Sunday morning, it looks like it starts to head further inland. It definitely starts to impact Perth by that point, then it starts to head further inland, and it should be by Sunday evening really starting to ease off. Now, it's going to be very, very humid for Perth Sunday night. We will be seeing likely fog, but by the looks of things, we're going to be seeing this cold front slowly move through, and that might deliver some very light showers or drizzly conditions Sunday and into Monday for the long weekend. Sadly, not very good weather for the long weekend over in Western Australia. But yeah, by the looks of things, as we get into Monday, the storms ease out of the western parts of the state. They move into the desert areas, so affecting a very small and remote population here, but we could still be seeing some pretty significant rainfall totals over the next 10 days. In fact, up to 400 millimetres by the looks of things possible in some locations deep into the desert. I don't know how much I buy that forecast, but still, a very common picture is in excess of 200 millimetres for some parts of central Western Australia. So we're likely going to be seeing some very significant flooding here as a year's worth of rainfall moves through parts of Western Australia. Over the next 10 days, up to 100 millimetres could fall in parts of the Wheatbelt, and also about 50 to 80 millimetres for the Perth area, south of Perth especially, down towards Armidale. So yeah, a lot of rainfall is going to be falling, and it's much needed rainfall indeed, that's for sure. Just 30 millimetres would be very nice right now. That would kick off a very nice autumn. So I'm hoping that we see that amount of rainfall. Anyways, that basically does it for this morning's weather update. Thank you so much for your company this Saturday morning. It's been great having you. If you are brand new to the channel, then please consider leaving a subscribe and also like the video as well. Tell me a weather report for your comments, for your location in the comment section down below, and I'm going to go back to sleep. I'll catch you on the next storm. Goodbye.